Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Green Man channel for the second episode of this Dark Horse Discs double feature, where we discuss albums that are often overlooked or underappreciated in bands' discographies. For this episode, we're tackling Within Temptation's Bleed Out, which came up back in October of 2023. And a couple of quick interesting facts about this album is that this is the most recent album we've actually covered in Dark Horse Discs. Usually the albums are some way back in the years. This is actually only 3 years ago. So this isn't super long ago. Well, 2.5 years if we're being a bit more accurate. So this is also, as I mentioned earlier, Within Temptation toured with the band we just talked about on the earlier episode in a Worlds Collide tour back at the end of 2022. So joining me once again for this episode, we've got Rock of All Ages, Chill Dude on a Couch, and Brady Fugel. Sadly, JC has had to leave us for this one. And yes, we'll do the usual 3 rounds, of course, which are first of all first impressions. Then the second round will be our 3 favourite songs from the album. The final round will be why we think Within Temptation's Bleed Out is a Dark Horse disc. Why is it underrated or underappreciated? And where we'd rank it in the Within Temptation catalogue if we know the full catalogue. Because, of course, I can't expect everyone to necessarily listen to a full discography in just a short period of time. So let's start this time round with Rocco, with your first impressions.
Yes. I have a very surface level familiarity with symphonic metal. I've seen Amaranthi live, but that's basically it. And speaking as someone who talks about bands that get played on the radio, Within Temptation still hasn't appeared on my radar. They had one low charting song in 2007, and then Sharon had a song a few years ago with Asking Alexandria. It was a minor hit. Despite those limitations, I did enjoy Bleed Out, although there was an album from the year before also called Bleed Out by the Mountain Goats that I slightly prefer. Uh, I don't think I would have called the album by Within Temptation one of my favorites of 2023, and I definitely don't know enough about the band to speak on the fan reception. But in my opinion, this would not be a bad choice for somebody's first Within Temptation album.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Rocco. Hector, your first impressions?
So actually, I didn't listen to this album when it came out. I remember Tom sent it to me, like, dude, Within Temptation had a new album this year. I'm like, they did. I totally missed out. Within Temptation, I am a fan more of their earlier stuff, and it's like a band that I listen to and then I forget about. But I did listen to it when after it came out because Tom sent it to. Tom scolded me because I missed it. And first impressions, it sounds heavier. I think it's one of their more heavier sounding record, and I can see maybe why the fans wanted more like the symphonic stuff that they were known for. So I think they went for more of a heavier side on this one. Those were my first impressions, but uh, and they also had like 7 singles out of this album, which is a lot of singles. And I don't know. I think it's too much when bands have too many singles. It's like an oversaturation of singles. Give us 2, 3 single stuffs, but like 7 songs is like almost half the album or more on singles. And the reviews were pretty favorable. I see Distorted Sound gave it a 7 out of 10, but most of the other reviews were positive. So I think um, fans were accepting of the newer sound. So those are my first impressions on this album.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep. Brady, your first impressions? Be quite interested to hear what you think of this one, actually.
Yeah, so I've never really been familiar with Within Temptation. Symphonic metal isn't really one of my preferred metal subgenres. So I went in with an open mind. Tom had told me going into it that it took on some qualities of like a metalcore type sound, which is more up my alley overall. And I do agree. I could definitely hear that. Just in the For one, the production, it sounds very modern. That's something that also stuck out to me because symphonic metal has also, been around for so long. And I still think parts of it are reminiscent of that initial style when it first emerged back in I think the 80s, right? That's kind of when it first kind of started, 80s or 90s. Um, and But this one doesn't really have that. It sounds very modern, very fresh, and it's also fairly accessible too. I think symphonic metal and hard rock kind of come together on this album with elements of like that modern metalcore sound a little bit. So yeah, those are my first impressions overall. I'll get into my final overarching thoughts in later rounds.
Yes.
Guys, I kind of have to leave, but I put my notes for the next two rounds in. Tom, check your email. Please read them on my behalf.
Okay, we'll do. I'll read out your favorite songs, etc.
And
Um,
final thoughts. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks, Rocco. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
See you later.
Oh no, Rock of God, who was tanked?
You got Hooper stanked. Okay, so I'll cover my first impressions. So yeah, I'm a pretty big. I guess I'm known on the channel for quite a lot of symphonic metal coverage. So for me, this album is was a return to form, basically, for Within Temptation. I didn't think a whole lot of Resist, to be honest, and I didn't think a whole lot of Hydra. So those were the two prior albums to this. I felt like this still had so those two albums before were very bombastic, but I didn't think they had the substance that this album has. Nor did they have a lot of meaning behind them. This was inspired by the war in Ukraine, and this has a whole lot of spirit and passion behind this record. I can hear that. Also, the band had a change in label as well, and I think Sharon said that that was liberating somewhere, or that she felt more freedom in what they were doing, and it feels more like her vocals are really, I don't know, to me, she always sounds great, but there was something a little extra in this album where I could really feel the emotion coming through on so many moments in her singing on this album, more so than on Hydra and Resist personally. But I don't think those necessarily terrible. Well, we might cover one of those on Is It That Bad? So I don't want to give away my verdict on those two. But for me, first impression was this was a better record. I actually Hector, you might have missed this, but in fairness, I missed this release as well. This wasn't on my 2023 year-end list. And I kicked myself because, and I think partly because what you mentioned about the singles were so scattered, they were over the course. I mean, the pandemic had a lot apparently to do with the delay of the release of of the album, I think, as with so many other records. But yeah, the seven singles thing was a little bit of an odd thing. But I think when I come to the final round, I'll explain. I think that contributes to its dark horseness, the whole singles thing. So yeah, so we'll move on to the second round now, which is three favorite songs. And so I kind of lost track now. So Rocco's gone. So I think actually I will read Rocco's email if he sent it
you
because he did
you
say
need to put a hat and some glasses on.
Uh,
I
yeah,
was
good
thinking the
point.
same
But I
exact
don't
thing.
have
I
the
was
same
thinking,
hat.
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, see if I have sunglasses and a hat, and I'll like try and be Rocco.
Okay, so we've got Rocco's choices here. I'm going to read them out for favorite tracks. Cyanide Love almost sounds like in this moment, in a good way, he says. I actually don't really know in this moment all that well, so I can't really sort of say too much on that. Don't Pray for Me. It reminds me of the 2000s in a good way. If Evanescence released this back in the day, it would probably be considered a classic now. Yeah, I think it's a great song. Don't Pray for Me. The title track, Bleed Out, it's catchy. The imagery is great. Sharon's vocals are amazing. I would never have guessed she was pushing 50 at the time. So I think she's probably 50 now. She's probably turned 50. Age is just a number, everyone. Remember that. Um, yeah, exactly, exactly. So, okay, the next bit is going into the final round. So we'll now move on to, I've completely lost track, Hector, I think.
Who was tanked us? Like, no, the stank is on us. I'm like I lost my rhythm. So okay, so my favorite tracks from this record, I love Bleed Out. I think it's a super strong uh, song. I think Sharon's vocals really soar above them. I also love songs like Worth Dying For. I think that was pretty interesting as well. And I would say it's a tie between Don't Pray for Me and Entertain You, which closes the album. Uh, yes, and yeah, I think I even though they're like more metalcore stuff, things and harder, I think I like that Sharon keeps her vocals the style she is because I don't think I would have like liked her like doing some like rapping stuff or stuff like that. So I'm glad that she kept her vocals, and yeah, I think it's interesting that this is the album. You said it's about a lot of the war with Ukraine, and the first song is called "We Go to War." So it's an interesting. Plus, the artwork on this album is it's an awesome artwork. Like, yeah, that's a very awesome artwork from the record. So yeah, those are my picks of songs that I think are really good.
It moves a bit as well. Look at
Yes.
that.
Illusion.
Exactly, an illusion. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Brady, your three favorites.
Okay, so my first pick, I'm gonna give to Wireless. I picked that one just because I think it's got a lot of like catchy vocal cadences, and a lot of these tracks like they're very like dramatic and climactic, and I think in this track it's more impactful than some of the others on here, and the chorus in particular I think is very very climactic, one of the best on the album. My second pick, I'm gonna give to The Purge. It's got a an energetic opening, which I like, with that kind of like cracking snare drum really driving the song. It gets the song off to a really like energetic start. And the melodies in here, like through the symphonic elements and the synthetic elements, like this is a very saturated song too, which is more so than I think others on here. And then the verses are very like bouncy, very infectious. So that was another really just energetic song that I liked on here. And then my third pick, I also had "Don't Pray for Me." It's this one's got maybe some more like steady energy throughout, but the drama and energy still maintains. It's a more tense song overall, I would say, just because it's a bit more mid tempo, but it still translates as emotional and like I said, just kind of just tense and almost like anxiety building. And there's just a lot of like memorable refrains on here. I think the chorus again in particular is a standout for this track on the album. So yeah, those are my three picks.
Great picks. Yeah, I mean Sharon, just her choruses. I mean they're always epic, and she's really just yeah. I also actually chose Wireless as well. This was inspired by the war in Ukraine, this specific track, and war propaganda and programs that about the influence government has on soldiers and sending them to war. And it's a really powerful track, and there's a really haunting section. It's kind of like this cool moment where you kind of get all these, ooh, I can't sing it, but it goes really haunting and beautiful before it returns to the final big shouting chorus. And I think it's an absolutely wonderful moment in the song. So I would also choose Wireless. Another one was The Purge as well, which I think you chose, Brady, actually as well. So we got two out of three. Um, this revolves around themes of redemption and self-reflection and the harm you can do to others, but also to yourself. And yeah, another huge shouting chorus in this one that I really enjoy. And my third pick is my all-time favorite. It's become my. I'm kind of surprised no one's mentioned it. It's become my favorite Within Temptation song, which is saying something. I mean, they have a lot of great songs across their catalogue within things like The Silent Force, in the Heart of Everything. But this song, for some reason, I really connected to it when it came out. It Shed My Skin, featuring NSOK. And it's just the harmonies, man. It's just the huge harmonies. It's like a massive stadium song. And the chorus and the building to the chorus. I suppose it's not a very it's not super complex or anything, but it hits me so hard. Every vocal moment on this track that I really like found the first time I listened to it was like really brought out the emotion in me. I was like really surprised at how much it hit me emotionally as well. So that would be my third choice, Shed My Skin, featuring and it's okay. So back for the final round. We're going to say why we think Bleed Out might be considered a dark horse and where we'd rank it in the Within Temptation catalogue. So back to actually, no,
You're
back
Rocco
to
now.
Rocco. Almost, sorry, Rocco, almost forgot you. Right, okay. So Rocco says, adding to my earlier points, I don't know enough about the band to rank their albums or speculate on why Bleed Out was a dark horse. Maybe it's just that this is a late career album like Death Magnetic, but with better production. Whatever the case, it is a solid record. Thank you very much, Rocco. So I think that was everything. Back to you, Hector.
Okay. So back to you. Yes. So uh, for me, this album, it's a dark horse because maybe a lot of people would think, like maybe older fans wanted more. Oh, I'm getting a low battery from my phone. That's okay. They would say that the album maybe it's harder and they like more of their symphonic stuff. Uh, they have one, two, three, four, five, six. They have 8 albums. Out of those 8 albums, I still think that if the my favorite album from them is the Heart of Everything from 2007. That's just an amazing album. And a second would be The Silent Force. Then fourth, I would say Mother Earth. uh Enter, I don't know, I think I haven't listened to that album, so I don't know. So I can't rank that one because I haven't listened to it. But I would have this Bleed Out after those three because I think it's better than The Unforgiven. And obviously I think Hydra and Resist, those two could be an Is It That Bad.
Yeah,
I'm thinking even I'm leaning more to Resist for Is It That Bad category. But yeah, Bleed Out would be in the middle, and Enter. Honestly, I haven't listened to that one, so
it's quite good. It's quite good.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very gothic. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know. It's not got the hooks of all of their other records really. So it takes a while to sink in. It's very doomy, very gothic, a little bit like The Gathering, if you know The Gathering. Um,
yeah. I know The Gathering, but yeah, to me, still the Heart of Everything is like the album that really got me into them. So that's my. But I think this is a dark horse, maybe because maybe some older fans wanted more of that sound, and they have evolved. But looking at their last three ones, I think this is their best album since The Heart of Everything.
yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Cool. I'm thinking, are we going to lose you in a minute? We'll go in one by one.
No, no, I have 20%.
Okay, should last, should last. All right. It'll just be me and Brady and then just me, and I'll be like, everyone's gone. All right.
Overstanked.
Yeah,
It's like those horror
Brady.
movies when like one person dies at a time until
Yeah.
there's one person left.
Oh, that
Right?
host film, the Zoom horror film, which
Yeah.
is on a Zoom call. Yeah, yeah. All right, Brady, your final thoughts.
Yeah, so like I alluded to earlier, like this style isn't really a style that I usually go out of my way to listen to. I think it's at its best when it's going for more of a darker, moodier sound. And I didn't get a whole lot of that with this record. I think the majority of this album goes for more of like that grandiose, like epic, dramatic feel to it, and it does pull it off pretty well. I think like things like the vocal performance, which is great, and just overall like the catchy refrains, like a lot of the choruses are really good on here too. So it definitely has its moments and it has its qualities that I would praise. But overall, this isn't really an album for me at the end of the day. It does have like that metalcore influence, like I mentioned earlier. It is pretty noticeable in the production and also the guitar style. But there's a noticeable absence of riffs on here for me, and that's kind of a deal breaker for me. If a metal record or even a rock record, if there's no riffs, then I can't really do it.
Bring the riffs.
Yeah, I need some riffing, and like there's a few moments on here where it does come in. Like I think on the Purge and Don't Pray for Me, there's some riffing on there, but in general, like that kind of was the main drawback for me with this record, and probably the reason that I won't be coming back to it. So like it has its pros and it has its cons. I'm definitely not familiar enough with the band to rank it in the discography, but I
Okay.
can't imagine it's their worst album. The only experience I have Within Temptation before listening to this album is they did a song on their 2019 record, which I think was Resist, right? Yeah, there was a
Yep.
song on that record with Jacoby from Papa Roach. And I
Oh
remember
yeah, that
hearing,
sucks.
I remember hearing that one, and I remember because it came out in like 2019. I remember listening to it at the time, and I actually kind of liked it at the time. But listening back, I don't like it anymore. I don't like it
Yeah.
anymore now. But that was the only experience I had with this band before that. So like I said, I can't imagine it's their worst album. As far as why it's a dark horse, I mean, it's probably just because this band's been around for so long, like what, like 20 years, right? Like I think, and like it's a new album from a band that's been around a while. So already, just on the basis of that, it's already kind of swimming upstream a little bit because of just metal fans. Like we cling so hard to the band's the hardcore the original albums. So that's probably why I would think it would be a dark horse. But like it still has its moments. Like I said, the vocals still sound really good, and I like and I appreciate how modern the record sounds. Like it's that, and that's something that is hard to pull off for a lot of bands that have been around so long. A lot of bands try to sound modern, and it just sounds like they're trying to like appeal to the kids, right? And but Within Temptation doesn't really. It doesn't sound like they were going for that. They do a good job of actually taking on a modern sound overall, as opposed to trying to cosplay it for more listens. So yeah, those are my final thoughts on the album. So overall, like I'm not really into it, but I do appreciate it. It sounds inspired too based on the lyrics. I didn't do a whole lot of research on the lyrics, but based on what you Tom, what you were saying, I like that they do take on relevant issues and stuff, and I do hear that. I think that reflects on the music itself. So that pretty much sums up my final impressions.
Good final impressions, Brady. Yeah, I think for me it's a dark horse because for one, they released so much of the album before the album actually came out. So I think that contributed to that because by the time the album's out, most people that are fans of the band have already really heard two-thirds of the record. So it was kind of like, oh, the album's out now, but we've heard most of it. So it doesn't really matter so much. And Hector's point, I think, is true. I think a lot of bands, though, are doing this more often, trying to release more singles, the bigger bands, because when the album comes out, they see it as like the death of the record because only people are only talking about albums often for about a week, new releases. I sometimes try to avoid falling into that trap, but it's very easy to when you're kind of reviewing albums and new releases. I think that happened a little bit with this album, therefore. Um, I also agree. I mean, if you're a hardcore Within Temptation fan, or maybe I should say an old school fan, so you're a fan of those old records, as Hector said, in the Heart of Everything and the Silent Force in particular are the ones that usually get the talk. Um, you know, you've probably jumped off the bandwagon a bit by the time of albums from the Unforgiving onwards. So if you're like, oh, there's a new Within Temptation album out, is there? I don't really know. So I think that's another thing. It just kind of went under the radar. I also remember thinking this was a dark horse because I think it was my choice actually because no one really talks about it. I mean, I think hardly any channels. I covered it on an albums I missed video, so I missed it too. But yeah, it felt like the whole community wasn't really talking about it. And I would say if Nightwish or Epica release an album, you'll see a lot more in this YouTube community. Like a lot more people will talk about those. If Nightwish release an album, everyone will talk about it. I mean, I guess unless you're not not so much of a symphonic metal fan. If you see an Epica album come out, I usually see lots of reviews for Epica. If you see Within release an album, no one will review it unless maybe you're me or Hector or whatever. So I think it's that they're. I mean, maybe it's a riff thing actually, Brady. That's interesting because they're not really a riffs band. I would say Epica are quite riffy. Nightwish, kind of. They're sort of songwriting focused as well. Um, so I would say for those reasons, this has slipped into that dark horse category for me, and that was why I originally chose it a while back. I think it was in a poll, and I can't remember whether this was most voted for or not. It was such a long time ago I did the poll for this one. But yeah, I think that's why I would consider it a dark horse. So yeah, anyway, that means we've reached the end of the second episode from this double feature. So I will just say again, thank you very much to my guests, my remaining guests who are still left. It's like a horror slasher film, as Brady said. We've still got Hector. Do on a couch? Do drop a sub to Hector's channel if you haven't already. I mean, if you're sub to me and you're not sub to Hector, that's crazy. I mean, we've been collaborating for years. What's going on, right? What is going on? We've
Before
also
I
got
die.
yeah.
Before he gets Hoobastanks.
Before
Before
he
I
gets
get to
Hooper
West
stank.
Thanks.
Also got Brady, who not only is Brady a YouTuber with lots of really good reviews, he's also a musician as well for I Mentor. Do check them out. Some really good, groovy riffage to
Dropping
check out.
a new Elementary album in November this year, so I'm excited for that one.
That means you may get an interview then. Maybe on my channel as well, actually, thinking
Well,
about it.
we're doing an Is It That Bad? No, I'm kidding.
Brady will want it to be on Dark Horse discs, I think, more than Is It That Bad?
Yeah, hell yeah. Like here's
Um,
of course here's this album that none of you have ever heard of.
that falls into Dark
Could
Horse
you
category, I
could
think.
you imagine doing an Is It That Bad with Brady doing it, and people will be like, "What the hell? They brought in the guy that made the record to talk shit about his own record."
Oh,
No, no,
I'll make an album and intentionally like make mistakes and stuff, so it's easy to talk
no.
about.
And this is what we'll do at the end of the episode. People will be like, "Is this really and is it that bad?" And when we're going to vote, we'll go like, "Who was tanked?" Like,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
all right. Well, that sounds like a maybe for the
oh, baby.
future. Um, and yeah, thanks everyone for watching as always. Don't forget to drop a like and a sub, of course, to the Green Man if you're not already subbed. We've got more Dark Horse Disc episodes on the way on a list to feature. So from me, everyone, and from my guests too, until next time, it is bye for now.